All right, my friends, so just enjoying a good walk. A nice cloudy, moderately cool day here in North Georgia. About 65 degrees. This is a freaking awesome spring day in the middle of May. Anyway, I just want to share an idea with you that if you're going to create something, if you're going to do like this whole passive income thing, and everyone's like passive income this, passive income that, man, you got to create something. Sorry about my hair being all messed up. I haven't showered yet. What I mean by that, so let me give you an example. Here it is, 2019. I'm walking around my little neighborhood here. I bust out I feel like listening to some music. So it comes across my feed, an old band I used to follow a lot back in the mid 80s named Youth of Today. They're from New York. And that was a huge, like a positive band. Back in the old hardcore punk rock day. You know, punk rock always just irked me, man, just a communist, and I just hated that stuff. And it was a little bit too just whiny. But hardcore was a little bit more aggressive. But back in the day, it was like very positive thinking. It was, it was a straight edge is what they called it, with like Minor Threat out of DC, then Uniform Choice out of California, then some bands out of Boston, SSD and whatnot. It was a good, Negative FX, but they later became Slapshot out of Boston. Just lots of course, New York. But anyway, lots of good positive bands that were, not for fighting, not for smoking dope and being stupid, just, being respectful to oneself and respectful to others. And it was wonderful because I also like metal, and death metal, speed metal was the exact opposite. Anyway, the whole point of this, fast forward 35 years, man. And I just watched Youth of Today had a reunion show that they played in Philadelphia in 2016. Now, what does this have to do with passive income? How many people have since bought Youth of Today albums, shirts? And look, I don't know what their license. I don't know if they have a license to. I no idea. But how many people are still buying their stuff from what they did back in the 80s? Now, you want to talk about passive income? That's it right there, man. I mean, here I'm watching a YouTube video. And I don't know who's getting paid off these videos. I hope someone is, for sure. From a band I saw when I was 15 years old. You know what I'm saying? That's when I was first introduced, 14, 15, something like that. And, it's just funny because the singer of the band, turns out he's got 5 kids now. I just kind of chuckle because I got 4 kids now. And thinking back when I used to, follow these guys and go see them in shows in D.C., I was just a punk kid. Just like he was and all those guys. But it's just funny. But after 35 years, I guarantee they're still selling stuff. I guarantee it. And I hope they got the license for the merchandise. I hope they get the proceeds of whatever they sell. But I mean, you think about it. Anytime you listen to a radio and they play old Boston, an old classic rock, I mean, somehow those guys are getting paid. And again, I don't know the specific terms of all this. In fact, I don't think it's great because I think... I know that the lead singer of Boston killed himself a few years back. I'm sure it has something to do with money. But I know these guys are still getting paid for every time a song is played that they did on the radio. Every time a song is licensed for a video game, a movie, they're getting paid. I can't think of a better way for passive income than have created something 30, 40 years ago and still get paid for it. It's nuts, man. I mean, you got to create something. And I don't know what it is, but just like a book. I guess the drawback about books is that, things change, but people are still reading Stephen King's It. And, they're just, I got movies coming out about that. And it's still being bought. He's still getting paid for that. Now, for every Stephen King, there's 100, impoverished writers. I get that. But, man, you got to start someplace. And I'm not saying you're going to be as rich as Stephen King. But let's just say you wrote, your version of it, the book, and, it sells, 500 copies a month or something like that. Whatever, I don't know. I'm just using that for an example. And each copy nets it $4 a month, $4. That's $2,000 a month right there for something you did years ago. And it's just interesting because, my tax bond book, I'm making about $500 a month off that now because I got the audio. I got the Kindle, which if you have Kindle Unlimited is free, but Amazon pays me, not much, but they pay me, a few bucks for people to read it for free. And then, of course, I got the book itself, where people can download and pay for it. So I make about $500 a month off that tax bond book. Now I do some advertising for it, so don't get me wrong, it's not net. I'm probably netting $300 a month. I spend about $200 a month for advertising. The idea is that once you hit a certain critical mass, you don't have to do any, I don't want to say you don't have to, but once you hit a certain critical mass, the advertising is kind of an afterthought at that point. And I'm not anywhere there yet, but it's interesting. If you type in Roth IRA, and you always want to do this in an incognito window, by the way. Incognito means it doesn't track, so theoretically, it doesn't track your previous searches, so it can't like put stuff in there that would be of interest to you. So you want to go in incognito window if you have Chrome. I don't know how it does on Amazon. I mean on Apple, a Mac or whatever. But anyway, so if you type in incognito window, theoretically it doesn't know who you are, it doesn't know your search history, so it can just give you basic stuff in terms of your recommendations when you search for stuff. So you go Amazon, type in Roth IRA, and I'm usually one of the top 3 that comes up there, which is pretty sweet. That's a good place to be. And one of those reasons because you all bought my book. The second reason, I've done some advertising, which will get you guys to click on it in order to buy my book. And Amazon, they're not stupid. Look at that guy right there. I'm gonna show you something. What's up, duckies? Can y'all see those ducks? Hey guys, let's see, I'm gonna point right there. Hello everybody, what you all doing? Quack, 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 quack. That's our neighbor's yard, not our neighbor, but the neighborhood I just walked out of. That's their land right there. It's freaking, look at that, it's gorgeous. And you can actually rent that place to take like wedding pictures and stuff. Oh, here comes someone with a dog. Let me get on this other side of the road. You can rent that to take wedding pictures, and there's a little, I'll show you here when I go by, there's a little area that's like gorgeous in the fall, because I don't know if you can see the trees. Yeah, you can see that. I'll show you when I get by, but man, it's sweet. It's just absolutely beautiful. And you can, in the neighborhoods, you see all these people like, get married in their wedding dresses and whatnot. It's cool. All right, so back to what I was saying. So, you know, I'm making, let's say $300 a month, morning, off my my books, and that's just stuff I've done, you know, a year and a half ago. Now, you think about like Stephen King, how much is he making off it? And he had written that in like the 70s. Yeah. How much is AC/DC for every song they do, Back in Black? How many times when they play that on any video game, anything like that, how much are they getting paid? I don't know, but I guarantee it's a lot of money. But you got to create something in order to receive the benefits of that. And creating is not as easy as you think, because you can always put aside for tomorrow the creativity that you want to use today, if that makes sense. Don't do that, man. Get that sucker out there ASAP. And don't let the enemy, or the perfect be the enemy of the good. And what I mean by that, a lot of people say it's not good. I hear this on YouTube all the time. It's not good enough. I'm like, nah, screw that. You just get it out there. Because what's coming from you is better than anyone else is doing for relative to what you're trying to do. Does that make sense? No one else is doing what you're doing. So inherently what you are doing is going to be better than what anyone else is doing, because it's coming from you. Does that mean it'll be better than what I do? No, because I'm doing what's better for what I'm doing. You're doing what's better for you. No one else can do it like you can. So don't like sit there and say, oh man, I made a mistake. Who cares? Literally, who cares? Life's too short. As I talked about last night. All right, look at this right here. It's almost like, this reminds me of Forrest Gump. I wonder if that was from Forrest Gump, because Georgia has a big tax incentive, which actually I don't like. Remember Forrest Gump when he was chasing after Jenny or something like that? Well, Georgia's got this big tax incentive program to get these Hollywood producers. They get a 30% tax credit for when they produce stuff here. And now all these Hollywood guys are all up in arms because Georgia just passed this law that says if a baby was aborted but survives the abortion, you can't kill them. And all these Hollywood guys are all up in arms about that, saying it violates women's rights. Like, the hell it does. Whew. And so our governor, Brian Kemp, said, oh well, we're not going to sacrifice our morality for your business. And I just find that yay for somebody finally standing up to say, look, your money is secondary to what we value in whatever state it is. I'll tell you right now, in fact, that was interesting. I talked to a guy yesterday from New York. New York's very liberal, very pro-abortion, but he has a Down syndrome child. In New York, the state pays for her, she's an adult now, $60,000 a year for her maintenance and health and welfare. I actually thought that's pretty cool. Kudos to New York that's actually not a bad thing, in my opinion, for a nice compromise. If you want to be, you know, I hate to say even pro-abortion, but in favor. Oh man, look at those freaking blue jays. Damn, they're so gorgeous. Oh, I know they're dastardly, but man, they are just gorgeous. And I thought it was a pretty good compromise. You could be pro-abortion or pro-whatever it is, freedom, if you like, and still take care of babies who are born with Down syndrome because the parents said, I want to bring this child to term. I think that's pretty cool. I was happy to hear that about New York State. So as much as easy for those of us on the right to bash it, I thought that's not a bad compromise. I'd be curious to see what the far left would think if they know that New York was paying $60,000 a year for Down syndrome kids and other kids with health issues. But good on them, man. And I don't know what we do here in Georgia. I have no idea. My presumption is I hope we do the same thing, for sure. I think that's a good use of taxpayer money without violating, quote unquote, the freedom of women to choose, which I don't like, but that's the law. And so you deal with the law at hand. And I just think that's pretty cool that New York does that, actually. I was pleasantly surprised. Just goes to show you, man, everything's a false dichotomy. There's not one thing that says is this or that. Everything is not mutually exclusive. There's always a third option, always. So just keep that in mind as you're wallowing the idiocy of political shenanigans. There's always a third option. It's not a false dichotomy. Anyway, so back to the creation. Create something that you can be proud of, even if it's not perfect, and just get that sucker out there. I don't know what it is. A piece of art, music, a book, a course, you know, a video, anything. Just get it out there, man. Create so that other people can see it. And if they value it, they'll buy it from you 35 years later. Going back to youth of today, you know, they still sound good. In fact, they sound better because the sound technology has increased enormously from 1984 and 85. And I was in a band once and we did a demo. I think we spent $150, $200. A horrible sound. This is like in 94, 95. Horrible sound for production. You can do that on your laptop now. I mean, it's crazy. On a Chromebook would sound better than going to a studio and getting these little DATs that you use to put on cassette tape. We hand those out to various magazines and various venues, see if they'd want to let us play. And of course, after that, I had to quit drinking, so I wasn't too keen on staying in the band because it's more just a matter of drinking and having fun than really doing much. But gotta create something.